What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my episodic review of Power Word Fail. And we are at the end game here. This is the last episode for campaign 1 of Power Word Fail. What a ride it's been on. I first want to thank everybody for just, listening to someone just ramble about the show. I've just thank you for letting me get on here and just talk about hey, did you guys like listening to me ramble, or you guys just put up with me rambling? Either way, I thank you. I'm not gonna get too long-winded at the beginning of this and save it all to the end of this, but this is the final review for Campaign 1, Power Word Fail, Episode 63, Endings and Beginnings. Let's do this. So, this one's going to be like a little longer one because this was a longer episode. It was like 4 hours and 30 minutes. Not complaining. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We pick up with the group on the road. Starting off, there's no map, so you know how I am about my maps. I love my maps. Idalia ends up asking Pkelz in Mirage to be the maid of honor. Now, I feel like a lot of people forget Mirage is around. He's in the ring. And then somebody's like, hey, but Mirage. And then Mirage is like, oh yeah, Mirage is around. I'm still hoping for Mirage Warforged body, praying for it, campaign 2. Ambrose has his book. He's trying to read how to make golems, but he fails and takes like psychic damage from trying to understand this book. They continue on. They get to the Trakari Wilds, and I myself thought getting to the Trakari Wilds was gonna be like a whole thing, like kind of like the Fey realm. I thought it was the Fey realm. So, but apparently it was just a part of the woods that's just magical or something. So they get to the Trakari Wilds. I really thought that was gonna be like a campaign 2 type Fyrric's backstory arc type thing, but no, it was just like 2 days walk that way. Um, they are greeted at this wall into the forest or something. It's just kind of like a kingdom, I guess. But they're greeted at this wall. Uh, a kiln calls down to Fyrric. I say this so much about so many people on the Homebrew channel, but Cody does like I guess like Fyrric is Russian. He's like the accent he tries to do is Russian. Cody does a good. I love when DMs are put on the spot and they have to do an accent of like somebody's past or somebody's dad or mom, and they do such a good accent. I love that. And Cody does a really good job putting on this voice for this kiln that knows. I want to say bird person. That knows Feric. I myself can't do accents. That's one thing I struggle with very. I can do a good accent for about 30 seconds and then I get in my head and I'm like, that's not what that's supposed to sound like. I can do voices, can't do accents. Um we head into the Trakari Wilds and we learn about the fires that are setting in the Trakari Wilds. You know, in Ferric's story, you hear a lot about the fires and how he lost his wings and everything. That's still going on. The kiln are trying to rebuild the forest with these fires that are happening. They kind of there's a dragon going around causing these problems. And just all honesty, I got a little mixed up. I wasn't sure what dragon it was, but they mentioned that there's a dragon that is going around burning the forest, causing chaos. We find out that Ferric's mother is the village elder. what's the worst that could happen here? Because they did come here to get married. They did come here to meet Fyrric's family and all that stuff. So what's the worst that could happen? Uh they meet the elders, and I don't really remember them being like Fyrric's mom was this one per se, but it was like three elders. They meet the elders, and they asked if they killed the harbinger. Fyrric's like, yeah, here's, I think he had the head or something like that. And then one of the elders looks at Idalia, and they say, isn't that bad omen? Like her red fiery hair, because they kept calling her fiery, and they were like, is it a bad omen? And then Fyrric, of course, spins it into a good thing. Whatever. They have a beautiful ceremony. Atrales says a line from the show. You matter, you're important, you are loved. Said that backwards, but Atrales says that in the show. They say they vows. Idalia says her vows and casts regeneration now that she's at that level. And grows Fyrric's wings back. Oh my god. I was like just ugly crying. I'm about to tear up right now thinking about it. But she grows Fyrric's wings back. And Fyrric says his vows, and he pulls out a little bag of flour, and he was just kind of like, the first time when, we were hitting on each other. They're married. Then they have this big party. Um, they give Idalia and Fyrric a house. Uh, Cody, uh, so somebody shows up at this point, and it's Spunk, and Cody plays Spunk. And I would have loved TJ to come back and be like, just or send a voice clip or something of like Spunk's. It was a force ghost of Spunk, and it was just like Cody did a good job. It was very much a force ghost of Spunk, and Spunk was like, "Hey, I got a gift for you guys," and he makes the group. Cody said 5 times stronger, and I was like, did they level up 5 times? But Spunk, I think he shared the hero's light with everybody. I'm not really sure. It was kind of very ominous, vague of what happened there. But Spunk's, is happy. He says, peace. I think he said I'm not dead at some point, but not really too sure on that. But that was so sweet when it was like, God, this wedding was so sweet. It just, whew, got me worked up. Um, the next day they head to stop the fires that are happening. To stop this dragon that is spreading these fires. They find out that some recruits are missing. Idalia scries on Vinny. All right. Again, full honesty, got a little confused here. I remember them going to like stop Vinny, or yeah, Eric the Terrible is inside of Pkelz. Vinny was trying to be reborn. They had all these patchwork people and everything, and the harbinger and all that, and all this stuff. Uh, I guess I missed where Vinny got reborn or what episode that was. But Vinny gets reincarnated, or he's still alive, because I remember Kelvin was talking to him or something. So I don't really remember when Vinny got reincarnated. I thought they stopped that for some reason. But Idalia scries on Vinny, and he's on an undead dragon flying towards this dragon's keep, I guess. Heading to river Fyrric pointed out on a map sometime. Idalia has transport via plants. And I feel that Cody was not prepared for that, because she was like, we could just go now and meet him there. And Cody was just like, oh. So yeah, I felt like it was just like, hey, we can go do that now. And Cody was just kind of like, I wanted some, like, I don't know. I feel like he wanted something else to happen there. But as good DMs do, they improvise. They let their players do their thing, and they respond accordingly. They end up buffing each other, much like Overlord before he fights God, I forgot her name, but they just buff each other. They're like, hey, let's give you this buff, let's give you this much health, let's bardic inspiration, let's do this, let's do that. And then they step into the portal. Cody puts them about 4 hours away from the dragon's lair. They see an undead dragon flying around. It's one that Vinny was on. They find the dragon's entrance. Ambrose, of course, is able to sniff out where there are any traps. Fyrric ends up finding the correct entrance or something. So they just avoid all the shenanigans and they get into the dragon's keep. They use a map now. Map pops up. We're in the dragon's lair. It is filled with gold, and before you is Pharaoh. It's Pharaoh. Like, I gotta re-listen to this. And I mean, up to a certain point, I guess I was re-listening to it. But Pharaoh is the dragon in this dragon keep. Pharaoh is the dragon that Vinny Goodmath is heading to like take control of. So they see Pharaoh. Pharaoh sees them, and he's like, "Oh, you're come to get your gold. You come to like whatever." And Pkelz is like, "Yeah, I came to ride the dragon." They talk to Pharaoh about some prophecy. Apparently, there's another dragon out there that's supposed to help rebuild the dragon race. Dragons were like the closest thing to God at a certain point, and the humans killed the mortals, killed them off to a certain degree, and this dragon is supposed to help rebuild the dragon race. Pharaoh just wants to rebuild his people at this point, but he needs that chosen dragon. And I thought if anybody could understand, it was Idalia. Not saying she didn't understand, but there was a lot of questioning of like, how many people are going to die if you do this? And it's just like, Pharaoh was basically like, anybody who stands in my way is probably going to die. But as long as nobody stands in my way, we don't have a problem. And I feel like, again, there was no problem. I'm just saying, like, there was a little bit of resistance or hesitancy there. But I feel like if Idalia was met with like, you can rebuild the crystal race, but if people get in your way, you're gonna have to try to kill them. I feel like she'd be like, okay, like, yeah. I don't know. Then again, I've been wrong before, but I just like the whole thing with Ambrose not choosing his family, but I mean, I guess that was already a bum deal. Lost my point. Pharaoh is making real much like a lot of sense. He just wants to rebuild the dragons. The dragons used to be really important. Mortals came in and started like killing them. They hear Vinny Goodmath. They see a shadow dragon. Then they ask Pharaoh for help for fighting Vinny Goodmath in the undead dragon. Just because I'm a Roll20 buff. Control L, Cody. Puts a big picture out on the screen for everybody to see. All the players get to see a close-up image, full body image, and us, since you were using Roll20 as a map, we as viewers could see like a bigger picture instead of you zooming in, whatever. Just throwing my 2 cents worth of penny out there. Vinny shows up. He brings a small army of monks. We roll initiative. We get right into combat. Fyrric immediately casts mass suggestion, and he tries to make 12 of these monks leave. 8 of the 12 leave. There's a lot of them. Monks immediately rush Ambrose, but of course Ambrose stay ready. He got shields, he got guns, he got jetpack now. He's like, I'm not going to be the only one who can't fly. Vinny tries to control Pharaoh, but Pharaoh ends up using one of his legendary resistance to resist it. And Pkelz pulls out Pokey, rolls a natural 20, and chops off Vinny Goodmath's head. Now, Pokey has a thing. If she hits a critical, I think it's like I forget what kind of sword it actually is, but Pokey has an ability. If gets a natural 20, cuts off the head. And Cody, I could see the look in his face, like this is supposed to be the final boss fight. She just killed the boss, rolling a natural 20. I'll never forget the first campaign I ran. I love giving my players stuff. And I gave them like this level 8 I forget what level scroll. It was blank scroll. They just had to get it inscribed. One of my players got it inscribed with banishment. And this is before I knew about legendary actions or reactions, blah, blah, blah. And this player kept this scroll all the way to the end of the campaign, and the final boss shows up. They're in the middle of a war, and he summons these skeletons. It's like, I set it up perfectly. He pulls out this scroll with banishment, casts banishment, the boss fails it, and he's banished. And I was like, yo, well then, that was... I mean, but one thing you gotta remember as a DM is that you're not playing against your players. You're playing with them to tell your story. So yeah, maybe your boss fight gets beaten in 2-3 turns, 1 round, whatever. As long as they're happy, as long as they're satisfied with their planning, their whatever, you should be happy that they did that. Like, I used to be so butthurt when I used to, because, you know, you stay up all night creating these encounters, making this world, making this lore, and then they just breeze through it. And then you're like, crap. Especially if you had like a cool cinematic going or whatever. I say cinematics, but like cutscenes or bad guy speech or whatever. But you always have to remember, you're not playing against your players, you're playing with them. And then you'll start having so much more fun when you realize that. Because I used to be that guy, I'd be like, God dang it, like, what am I do now? But anyway, Pkelz cuts off Vinny Goodmath's head. Cody just ends up letting it fly. It was like, yeah, let him do it. The dragon goes berserks and the monks move in. In my head, I was like, what could I have done to do this? I would have, at this point, the quickest thing I could come up with, my improv brain, it was have the soul of Vinny Goodmath tethered to this undead dragon or the monks. So when he died, it would have went to the dragon or the monks. And I was like, oh, it would have transferred, his mind would have transferred to another person. It would have been something he had prepared. Been watching a little bit too much Rick and Morty, so having backup clones. But anyway, that's just something I would have did in the moment. It was like, oh yeah, you got to kill all these monks and all these dragons, this dragon first. But anyway, Idalia casts Fireball. They battle back and forth. Idalia gets in a good position to cast Fireball on these monks. Pkelz cuts off the head of the dragon, but it's not quite dead. Ambrose ends up taking out the dragon, just taking it out. When we think combat is over, somehow Vinny casts Regenerate. And his body he gets back up and he's like, oh, I lost my head there for a second. And then we have that epic boss battle music going, and it's time to fight the final boss, Vinny Goodmath. And they throw everything in the kitchen sink at this man. This was very climactic battle that I've been saying for the past 3 episodes that I've been wanting. They did a good job of fighting this. Cody did a good job of like staying calm, because you could tell that they were, like I said, you jump from weakling to overpowered in D&D so fast. And you could tell that Cody was not expecting them to take things out, go this route, or take things out as quickly. But his response to everything was so well put together. Like, you could tell that he was like a little annoyed, but he improvised. He did what good DMs did. He didn't punish the player. He didn't take it out on players. I think one point, like, he responded annoyedly, but I think he was just thinking at that moment because he was looking stuff up. He was trying to figure out how to swing this boat back around. Pkelz, in this fight, she's using Pokey, and she's using like her some kind of power of dread or something, and she's basically fighting for control of something that's taking control of her. And you can tell that her arms turning into this skeletal beast. It's a lot. Atrales takes the final blow on the reanimated Vinny Goodmath. Battle's over. A lot has happened. Pharaoh asks, "What now? Are we enemies now, or are we friends?" And everybody kind of looks around, and Pkelz is like, all right. She pulls out Spunkles, and it flew right over my head that Spunkles was the chosen dragon. That was so special about Spunkles. And it made, and I think about like how they received Spunkles, everything that happened. It's just, it was just all really good, really good. So they're like, Spunkles is the chosen. They're okay with Pharaoh taking Spunkles and rebuilding the dragon race. But Pharaoh asks the group, "Hey, what can I do for you within my power as of right now?" Idalia tells Pharaoh to be respectful of people when he's trying to rebuild the dragons with Spunkle. If there's a lot of people, they're gonna get in your way, just try to leave. Go find somewhere else. Pharaoh agrees. Pkelz is like, "Hey, I'm going with you guys. You owe me rides, and I'm not leaving my son, so I'm going." So she's going on an adventure with 2 dragons. Atrales wants to be friends with the dragons, so they could be gods of peace. They can kind of be like that person of peace in the middleman. Fyrric wants the same thing. He just wants peace. He's tired of fighting. He's tired of this death. Ambrose asks for his help in finding the prince. Surprisingly, the dragon's like, "I can't really do much, but I'll try my best to help you as much as I can." After that, everybody says their goodbye and they split. The group just splits up. I thought it would be more of like, "Hey, let's have one last party," or let's get together and say one goodbye. But the group just splits. Pkelz leaves with the dragon. Ambrose goes off wherever. Idalia and Fyrric goes back home. And Atrales continues for his travels for godlyhood. And that's how Power Word Fail ended. It's been 4 months, 5 months since it's ended. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give this episode, the final episode, a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. From this point on, it's just me rambling. So if you just came here for the review, if you came here for the recap, there you go. But this is me just kind of rambling on. So you're free to stay. You're free to leave. So I thoroughly enjoyed Power Word Fail, and I want to thank everybody who had a part of it. Just thank them. From Carlos for creating this adventure. I'm gonna say Andy. No secret that I'm an Andy fan. I'm an Andy fan. I'm a Pkelz fan. I'm trying to remember everybody's name, and I'm drawing blanks now that I'm just gonna ramble. But Katie, from Evangeline to Idalia, Ian, Ambrose Busson, Fyrric, Austin plays Fyrric, Nathan plays Atrales and Mirage, even TJ who stepped in and had to step out, Allie, Allie who played Navarra, and I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. I feel like TJ played Spunks in the Pretty Boy. I can't think of his name. But yeah, and then Cody taking over Power Word Fail instead of it ending where it ended. Like, you guys did an awesome job. I loved campaign 1. Can't wait for campaign 2. Like, Power Word Fail. I got into podcasts like a while ago. But I think I told this story earlier, but when I found Power Word Fail, I was going through a bad divorce, and I just never forget that I was just listening to it one day, just super sad, bed on the floor, one TV, and just like, and I remember at the end of the podcast, no. End of the podcast, Carlos going, "You are loved, you matter, and you're important." And I just attached to that point, and I was just like, I don't know, I just latched on to that, and I was like, I love this show, and I love how sweet and genuine everybody is, and it helped me find that comfort and that peace that I needed right then and there to get through whatever I was getting through. And I have to thank everybody for keeping this going and telling a great story. I'm much better now. Therapy, medicine, the gym, I'm happy. Not in distraught that this show has ended. So I thank everybody that had a hand in this. I remember listening to Grant one time before I started listening to Power Word Fail, and I think this what got me to like check it out. But Grant was like comparing all the DMs from Nathan to him to Carlos, and he was like, Carlos is just so sweet. Like, I tell my players to, fuck off at the end of every session, but Carlos is like, remember, you're loved, you matter, and you're important. And I was like, I need that in my life. But yeah, I mean, I can sing these praises all day. Everybody knows I love Power Word Fail. TheHomeBrew did such a good job. I'm just wondering where it's going to go now. Is Cody going to continue this? Is this still going to be... Because they did a big update, and when they started Retrograde Infinium, Austin stepped down from that and was going to Power Word Fail full time, which makes me think, here comes the theories, Austin's going to be the new DM of Power Word Fail, and Cody's probably going to be a player. And I could see that, like, Cody becoming a player, and Austin being the DM, because I don't know. I just see that. I think that would be really good if I could see this like taking place like 100 years later or so with like maybe Idalia's kid, Idalia's and Fyrric's kid. Idalia could Katie could play the kid, and whatever. Crystalborns can't have babies like regular people. So I don't know how that would happen. She would have to give up her existence. So I could. She wouldn't do that after Fyrric dies. So there would have to be a certain point of her being like, "I'm giving up my existence so you can have a kid." But I think there is another way Crystalborns can have kids. I mean, they could also adopt, whatever. So yeah, I that's my theory for like campaign 2, and maybe that's why it's taking so long. Is because Austin is probably doing his version of it. They tied up everything really well. Because my biggest thing is, where's Pharaoh? Like, when is that gonna swing back around? That was a whole thing. I remember like every like arc, they would be like, Pharaoh still owes us money and dragon rides. The Prince is a big one. I think the Prince was like one of the big ones that didn't get answered. Because Evangeline's soul thing, I don't remember what happened with that. Ambrose's family. Eric the Terrible inside of Pkelz. Mirage coming back as a Warforged. I'm still just throwing that out there. Mirage is going to be back as a Warforged. And that gives him a reason to start over at level 1 or 3, because he has a new body. He got to figure out what he can do, and then they program him to be whatever class he wants to be. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options to go for campaign 2. I think Pkelz is going to be the bad guy. Whatever's in her is going to take her over. Whatever's happening to her is going to manifest, and she's going to be the new bad guy, and they're going to have to stop Pkelz. I mean, and then she's already gearing up to be like super powerful. So whatever new set of adventurers take place is going to be like, oh, they have to stop Pkelz. Which I will thoroughly enjoy that. My favorite character turns into the bad guy. Just like, man, I don't know where campaign 2 could really go. Like, if they're gonna skip a decade, who's gonna be the DM? And I say that like, there's a problem with somebody being the DM. Cody's doing an amazing job. I just, when they had that, I forgot what they called it, but the update, and they made a big deal about Austin going to Power Word Fell full time and moving away from the main homebrew show. I was just kind of like, if Fyrric inconspicuously dies and Austin, because my guess was Cody was going to be the new DM, just based on like how the vibe of the show goes, and who my two guesses were: Austin, but he was a player, and Cody, just because they fit the vibe of the show the best. Not saying anybody else can't do it, but they fit the vibe the best, and I was right. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've rambled enough. I don't know what campaign 2's. I'm real excited. I hope that it comes around soon. It's been a while. A couple of shows are still going on the homebrew. A couple of shows have ended and started new. But Grant pushes. Grant works. Grant is like a machine sometimes, but I don't know. I'm really excited to see what's next and what's gonna happen next. I thoroughly love Power Word Fail. And I thank them for listening to my recordings, listening to an old man ramble. No hate, nothing like that. Nobody's ever said anything bad. I really appreciate Andy. Andy, they are amazing. I'll wake up because I do these recordings in the middle of the night because I work third shift, and then Andy will be like, "Hey, Miles put out a new review. Thank you for promoting me. I love it. Thank you." But yeah, I hate I haven't heard from Carlos in a while. He was popping up in Discord every now and again. I really wish I could talk to him. I mean, like, I'm not good friends, but you know, as listeners, you get attached to certain people and you think you know them, but you don't know these people. Like, but you get attached and you think you know them, and you want, especially if you're empathetic, you're empath, whatever. You get in your feelings and whatever. It's just like, but if anybody listens to this and anybody still reaches out to Carlos, please let him know I'm very grateful for what he did and what he's created, and let him know and everybody on the cast know you are loved, you matter, and you're important. Thank you guys for listening to Miles TV and in Power Word Fell. You guys have a nice day. Bye.